the Divorced Girl Smiling Podcast with your host, Jackie Pilosoff.
No one should have to go through a divorce feeling alone and isolated. The Divorced Girl Smiling Podcast is a production of Divorced Girl Smiling, where every show is 30 minutes aimed to empower you, help you feel validated and understood, and connect you with some of the best divorce professionals in the industry. So grab a cup of coffee or a glass of wine and start smiling as you join us right now for the Divorced Girl Smiling Podcast. Heard everywhere podcasts can be found and always at divorcedgirlsmiling.com. Before we get started, I want to tell you something about the day your divorce is finalized. Among other emotions, it's a huge relief, at least it was for me. But I didn't realize at the time the to-do list that comes with a divorce being finalized. There is literally a checklist of things that have to be done. One of those things is getting a new will and trust. And I can't stress enough how important this is. The process should be started no more than a few weeks after your divorce is final. If you live in Illinois, Emily Roswadowski can help you get a post-divorce will and trust. Emily has been practicing for over a decade as an estate planning attorney, and I just love her. I trust her so much. Let me tell you about the cost also of getting a new will and trust. It's a fixed one-time cost. So unlike you being billed by your divorce attorney, you can talk to Emily as much as you want, ask questions, and the price is the same. The peace of mind you're going to get when the process is finished is wonderful. If you want to reach Emily, you can find her at emilyroslaw.com. I also want to take a minute and tell you about a wonderful team of divorce mediators. Their names are Ellen Feldman and Brian James, and they are CEL and Associates. When you hire Ellen and Brian, you get both of them in your session, which is really nice. You're getting two people for the same price as you would be getting one mediator. And what's nice about having two people is you're getting the opinions of two people with very different backgrounds. Ellen Feldman is an attorney turned mediator. Brian James has been a parenting coordinator for several years, maybe decades. And so they both bring this different approach. They are wonderful. They've been working together for over 15 years, and I really, truly trust them and would highly recommend them. If you want to learn more, you can go to celandassociates.com, and you can find both CEL and Emily in the Trusted Professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling. One of the biggest things you have to consider when you're getting divorced is, what are we going to do with the house? And if you decide to sell your home, it's a really it can seem like a long, scary, complicated, a lot to do kind of process. But it doesn't have to be that way. And then you also have to think, am I going to rent? I have to find a place. Maybe you're going to sell your house and buy a new home. So there's a lot of things to consider. And there's a lot of misinformation out there. So today we are going to talk myths and truths about real estate. I have the best guests. I love these girls. Tami, Levy, and Debbie Glickman are the founders of Glickman Levy Residential. They're partners. Together, they have years of sales experience, 220 transactions, 140 million in sales. Hi, Tami and Debbie.
Hi, Jack. How you doing?
Great. So I want to tell my listeners, I've known you guys for a really long time. Debbie, I've known for over a decade, maybe more. Tami, I feel like you and I met in another business. We're just still trying to figure that out, but we knew each other. And the thing that all three of us have in common, other than the fact that we adore each other, is that we are all entrepreneurs, really aggressive, not aggressive, that's not a good word. We're driven, we're motivated, we're really care about our clients.
Right.
And that's what I love about you guys as a divorce team. So Tami and Debbie were both real estate agents, and then they came together to form Glickman Levy Residential. So, do you guys agree with me that there's a lot of misinformation when it comes to buying and selling? Like people say, I heard this, and oh, I heard it's a really bad time to sell. Oh, I heard the market's really inflated. I shouldn't buy right now. Like, tell me
You
some.
know you know what the biggest one is that we're hearing right now is, "Oh, I don't need a real estate agent. I can do it all by myself."
Yeah, and good luck.
Yeah.
All
Because
right,
this market is not kind.
tell me why that's a bad idea.
So I think initially, there's very little inventory on the market right now, and so when you are looking for a house, one of the biggest things that your realtor has is relationships with other realtors. And when you have relationships with other realtors, they know how you work, how you make sure things get to the closing table. They know if you are an easy person to work with, a difficult person to work with, and really how driven is a good word you are to the success of your buyers or sellers. And so that's, I think, huge.
Well, that's from the buying standpoint.
And the selling, though.
It's well, from the buying standpoint, when you are working with a broker who has relationships with other brokers and you are going in for a very popular listing, right? That there's going to be multiple offers on. You always want to be working with somebody who's got not I mean, look, at the end of the day, it's the seller who picks who the buyer is going to be, right? But we as listing agents do have some influence with our sellers to say this is why you should accept this particular offer. And if it's a buyer's broker that we know um, can get it to the closing table, that we know that they're not gonna, they'll help their buyers manage inspection items and what's reasonable to ask for and what isn't reasonable to ask for. So all of those things become very important when you're a buyer looking for a home. When you're going
And
in,
also, I think that, sorry to interrupt, but
that's okay.
I also think that, there are so many steps after putting in the offer and finding the house is the easy part. There are so many steps
Well,
to get it to
not
the
not
well,
not in
no,
this
no, no,
market.
no, right. But I'm saying once you put the offer in and you get your offer accepted, there are so many other steps. I mean, we're dealing with like so much right now with different whether it's a condo or a home or there's so many wrenches that can be thrown in along the way that we know how to calmly deal with.
All right. So what I'm hearing from you guys, if this is like anything else in life, if you are working with a real estate agent and you're looking for a house, it's kind of a cutthroat market right now. And people want to work with people they know and they feel comfy, cozy with. And oh, Debbie and Tammy are great. And, they know they're going to have a smoother transaction. Versus if you're just by yourself, they're taking a chance. So you definitely have an edge in the buying part. For the selling part, do you know how many things that can go wrong if you are just selling and you don't have a professional to help you? And that's I think what
Do.
people don't think.
Yes, we do. Lots of
Right.
can go wrong. And also, it's a very personal thing to be selling your home. So, when someone says, well, this is broken and that's broken or whatever it may be, people emotions are very high. So
Especially during a divorce.
yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Right.
in general, it behooves people to use a realtor. We work very hard for the money we make. And I think that the biggest myth out there is that it's like, oh, it's an easy cush job. It's not. It's 24/7 phone calls in the middle of the night. Yeah.
24/7.
And stress.
No
A tremendous
vacation.
amount of stress.
All right. On that note, tell me about your clients who are going through a divorce. How are they different than other clients?
Well, because,
We love them.
I think that the important thing when dealing with clients who are going through a divorce is to try to be as neutral as you possibly can, because there could be a lot of anger that's involved. There could be a lot of animosity. There
Emotions are very,
Yeah.
very high, and I think that, that a lot of our divorce clients, there's steps that have to happen before you can sell your house. You can't just say, okay, we're getting divorced, we're selling your house. There has to be an agreement between the parties, a plan put forth by the court that says the house is going to be sold and this is what's going to happen with the marital property, with the profits once the mortgage is paid off. And so all of that, there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done, and then we can sell the house. Sometimes divorced couples will decide that one person's going to give title over to the other. It's part of the divorce settlement. So then the person who has the title is able to sell the house on their own. And then that kind of actually helps the friction, because then they're not dealing with each other making decisions. It's one person gets the decision and they sort of buy out the other person. That's a
That's a great scenario.
The other scenarios where you have, tough people. And so you do, as Debbie said, staying neutral is the most important part.
And I think that, kind of our superpower in the midst of all of that is our ability to remain very calm
And communicate.
and to, there's a lot of talking off ledges with a divorce deal because, nobody ever told me that when I got my real estate license, I also needed to be a therapist. Did anybody tell you that?
Well, that's why I went into real estate, because my husband said he wouldn't pay for my master's to go to social work school.
Right.
So he said, go get your real estate license.
But there is a great amount of therapy, and you become very intimately involved with your clients,
Very much.
and we're taking a couple girls out on Friday night that are, good friends of ours that are both, going through this process. And, we're going to have drinks with them because they need some alcohol. You know, but
Well, no, it's really important to make sure that the person feels like you're not on their husband's side, like you're not taking sides,
for what?
or,
Yeah.
and that you are, like Debbie said, staying neutral, because I went through a divorce. There's so much sensitivity. Everyone's really walking on eggshells. And if you say something that upsets someone, they could end up in tears or, start screaming at you. And it's just the stress and the circumstances. Okay, we have to go to a break. You're listening to the Divorce Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff. I'm your host. I'm here today with Tami Levy and Debbie Glickman. They are the co-founders of Glickman Levy Residential, and they are in Chicago and the suburbs, and they're wonderful. The three of us are talking about myths and truths in real estate, especially after divorce. When we come back, we got some more myths and truth. We only gave one, so we have to give more. We'll be right back. When people get divorced, most likely they haven't dated in several years, and the thought of putting yourself back out there can be terrifying. Plus, the way people meet and date has changed so much over the past decade and a half that there are people getting divorced now who have never experienced online dating. And this is where Alyssa Deneen can help. Alyssa started her company, Style My Profile, to help men and women in dating after divorce, especially online. Alyssa spent several years on dating apps personally after her divorce before meeting the love of her life. So Alyssa is here to help coach you through the online dating process. She offers so many different packages, everything from one-on-one coaching to online courses, and they include writing your online profile, photo shoots, choosing the best photo, how to communicate with matches, and just helping you stay positive and inspired during the experience. If you want to learn more about Alyssa, you can find her at stylemyprofilnyc.com. I also want to tell you about a wonderful divorce attorney in Chicago and the North Shore. Her name is Anna Krolikowska, and Anna has been a divorce attorney for over 17 years. She is someone who truly values the divorce processes of mediation and collaborative divorce. If you want to learn more about Anna, go to annklaw.com. divorcegirlsmilingpodcast.com. And you can find both Anna and Alyssa in the Trusted Professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling. Welcome back to the Divorced Girl Smiling podcast. My name is Jackie Pilosoff, and I'm your host. Today, I'm here with two amazing real estate agents. They're a team, Debbie Glickman and Tami Levy. They are Glickman Levy Residential. And if you want to find them, by the way, you can go to, so their company that they work for is At Properties. Just go to atproperties.com and you can Google them on that site, or atproperties.com/site/Glickman Levy Residential. And we're talking about myths and truths in real estate. So tell me another myth that you find people will say to you, and then you'll be like, no, that's not true.
Well, I think one of the myths is that, people think that they have to put 20% down in order to buy a house, or they have to pay cash in order to be competitive.
While in a very competitive market, the cash is king. And the reason cash is king, just to tell you, is because when you pay cash for a home, there's no appraisal that is needed, and you can close, in as soon as the inspection's over and you're through attorney review, you can close. So it can be a very quick close. But you don't have to put down 20%. In fact, we just closed on a deal where our buyers decided, they actually changed their mind. They decided that the money that they wanted to put into the house, they were going to take out of their down payment. So they put down less.
Right.
Okay. And also, don't you find that with women getting divorced who want to buy their own homes, sometimes that's the case. They don't have the down payment.
That's right. That's right. And so we become then a resource because we have lenders that we love to work with that are problem solvers like we are. And
Right now we're doing that.
Right now we are doing that. We are, I've spent the morning problem solving with our team of, lenders and attorneys and all of that and hopefully the outcome will be positive this afternoon. But, you just have to be willing to, solve any problem. You just don't know what is coming at you. I mean, that's the beauty of this business too, is you're never bored and every deal is different. But
all right, tell me another myth.
The best time to sell is the spring. After Super Bowl, that's when we want to list our house.
Yeah, why do people say that?
It's just that's always been, I'm not really sure the whole history of the spring market starting right after Super Bowl, but boy, has that changed. And we coach our clients to list in January. And why? I mean, the weather might be frightful, but there is less competition. You're not up against, 5 other different properties. So, it's a good time when you've got serious buyers out there looking. I mean, what is going on in the market now is there's all this pent-up demand from last year. So the market literally started January 3rd, which was, I think, the Monday after,
Right, because holidays are not good to put your home on the market, right?
Well, not necessarily, because, people think that, think about this.
That was another myth.
Yeah, it is a myth. There are there are millions of people that live in this world, right? So there's probably a 5%, if not smaller, that go away on the holidays. A lot of people don't go away.
We bought our house the week
Yeah,
of
she did
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Okay, also, what if somebody gets a job and they have to start after the first of the year? They're going to be looking.
Exactly.
So it's just on basic what you need and where you are in life. And if you're getting divorced and your divorce is going to be final, let's say it during the holidays, you're almost divorced and you need to start looking for a house. So it's just, you're right. Total myth.
No, in our opinion, there is no good or bad time to list your house and sell your house. If you're thinking, I'm going to sell my house in January, we'll take pictures in June of you outside. So we have beautiful outdoor pictures for you.
Love it. Okay, what's another one?
If you rent, you're throwing away money.
Oh, okay. I was just going to ask you guys about renting versus buying. So let's give advice to people who are thinking about divorce or going through one and they're not really sure what they're going to do yet. And people are telling them like you shouldn't rent, you're just throwing away money. What are some cases where you guys would recommend renting?
Well, if you don't know where you want to be, if maybe you don't want to live in the neighborhood in which you were married and you want to figure out what your next step is and your house is sold and you don't want to be rushed to buy a property. That's one
Mhm.
reason. I mean, look, the bottom line is that renting, you're paying somebody else's mortgage. You're not it's not going to be into yourself. So we always would recommend buying real estate versus renting it, but there are times when you can't do that.
There's
Well,
pros.
I was just going to say, sorry, I was just going to say that divorce is such a huge life change. That why would you lock yourself into another home unless you're really sure? Like, if you always grew up in Northbrook, you lived there when you were married, your parents live there, your sister lives there, and you know you still want to live in Northbrook. Okay, that's one thing. But let's say your kids are all grown and you might want to spend some time in Florida next winter, and you're not really sure you want to live in Northbrook anymore. Then what better scenario than to not be locked in and wait until you figure out your life
Yes.
first?
And also, again, it also depends on your financial situation. Renting is not inexpensive,
Right.
especially in the North Shore area where we live. Rental rates are high. They've gone up tremendously, and for what you can pay in a mortgage and taxes, or mortgage taxes and an HOA can be less than what you're paying in rent. So it just depends on your financial stability. Obviously, if your kids are still in school and you want to keep them in the school district, it's kind of that's a no-brainer.
Well, and then the other piece is, what if there's nothing for you to buy and
Right. And don't settle.
you don't want to have a gun to your head to buy something
Right.
that you may not be super excited about. Like we always want you to walk into your new place that you want and you're like, "Oh my god, this is the one," right? And if you haven't found that and your house is closing in a month, okay, well plan B is that we're going to get you into a rental for a year and this way you don't have the pressure. We can look a little bit slower and take your time. So
And leases can always be broken. There might be a penalty fee or something, but to have that freedom to wait for the house you really love and to have the beauty of just sitting there. And then when you see it and you go, ah, that's it. And then, okay, I have 2 more months left. Let's see if I can give enough notice and get out of this or whatever. Do you guys talk to people about this? Like, can somebody sit down with you and you can have this conversation more personalized to their situation?
Happy to.
absolutely.
Oh, and do. The other thing with
And our advice is free, by the way. We're happy to
Huh?
owe anybody, whether you decide to use us or not. We are always happy to be consultants. So if somebody's watching this podcast that doesn't even live in the Chicago area and they want to, reach out to us, we are so happy to help kind of
guide them.
guide that. I mean, that's what we do. We're advisors.
You guys, I love it. I am so glad we had this conversation. I think moving and buying and selling is very stressful for people getting divorced, but you guys make it seem like it's going to be fun and you're so positive and full of energy. Really, really appreciate what you do. And thank you for being on the podcast.
For having us,
Thank
Jack.
you
We
so much for having
love
us.
hanging out with you. Next time we need to have like a glass of wine or some tequila or something fun.
I know, definitely. Well, we'll make that happen. And to my listeners, you can find Debbie and Tami Glickman, sorry, Glickman Levy Residential in the trusted professional section of Divorced Girl Smiling. And you can also find them at properties.com/site/Glickman Levy Residential. And their Instagram channel is amazing. So follow them on Instagram. Just go to Instagram, look up Glickman Levy. They do these videos every Friday that are the cutest, most fun. They'll like make you laugh. I was featured in one a few months ago. And so anything else, girls?
Nothing. You know what? Listen, we love what we do. We love to help people through this transition.
And we know that we know it's an emotionally challenging time. And, we've got lots of friends and family that have been through divorces. So we've helped quite a lot of people buy homes, rent places, and just walk them through it. So we are very, very knowledgeable in the area, and we're extremely empathetic to people, and try and really be very aware of everyone's feelings.
Well, and I also didn't even mention that's another thing. You guys really know the area. You've lived here for decades. So great. All right, guys. Thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you.
And to my listeners, thank you so much for listening and watching. And if you want to learn more, you can go to divorcedgirlsmiling.com.